Yeah, I was lucky enough to be on the field and talk to the players and yourself after the game. Seconds after you guys get the Grey Cup and you're with your family. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, that was a moment you sort of see on TV and hadn't had the opportunity to do. And it was special. It really was special. Like to have my kids there, and I couldn't find them at first. So when I finally found them, when I was able to sort of, hug them and sort of just say, we did it, right? We did it. And so you see that, play out, with Jeremy O'Day, with his family, with Corey Mace, with his family. So many our players with their families, seeing Trevor Harris do that with his kids. It's just this very, very special moment I'll remember the rest of my life.
What was it like for you to be with this organization for such a long time and be in this role, but not have that success until now?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be with the club for 2013, and obviously, that's a day that Rider fans will remember forever, winning on home turf. That was very special. But to be in the CEO role and not have had that opportunity, and have been so close, like we played in 4 of the last 6 West finals and just could not get over the hump and actually get into that game. So to be able to get into the game and then be successful in the game, it was just an incredible moment. But again, I thought so much about people in our organization who hadn't even had an opportunity to win a Grey Cup. I was, like I said, fortunate enough to be part of the 2013 team, so I got to experience that. So just seeing the joy in so many people's eyes, either on the field or afterwards at the party, just sort of understanding that, like I said, we did it and we're Grey Cup champions. So just so happy for so many people.
Do you think that, the fact that you had so many people in the organization and players who've never been there, never won, do you think that spilled out into the celebrations in the days after, and it continues? My social media, almost every day someone's got the Grey Cup around the community.
Yeah, no, certainly, it was very celebratory, and I didn't know what to expect with the parade and the ledge, but just the sheer number of our fans that were there, it just blew me away. It really did. Like I was talking to some of the players before, and they were asking me what's going to be like, and I said, we'll have lots of fans there, but it even exceeded what I thought. And the team works so hard the whole off season, and then obviously during the season. So when you're able to accomplish that goal, just so happy and proud to get to see them sort of celebrate the way they did.
Was there a moment in the season where you thought, okay, this is the Grey Cup winning team, we can do it?
Yeah, you kind of felt this team was different right from the get-go, at least I did. And I think you always hear about teams, the successful teams, that they have a deep love for each other and they play for the guy next to them. And I think you just saw that. This team was very, very tight and very, very close-knit. It had great leadership and it had a lot of continuity with it. And so you just felt like, this team, as the season was playing out, we were able to sort of sustain, that first place. We were always sort of in that position where, you felt like this team had a chance. And I think for me was when we clinched the West Final at home, knowing what an advantage that was going to be for us to be able to play that game here at Mosaic Stadium. That was probably the moment where I thought, we've got a really good chance to, first of all, go to the Grey Cup. And then when you go to the Grey Cup, you've got an opportunity to win it. And so I think it was when we clinched first place and the home field advantage.
You talked about leadership, and Coach Corey Mace is only in his second year to win the Grey Cup as a head coach, and that you're part of that decision making to bring him in. Is this something you expected? And it's pretty soon for someone to come in and do this.
Yeah, he's had tremendous success right from the get-go. But I think the moment you meet Corey Mace, you kind of expect this kind of result. He's just a special person, and he's a special coach. And he surrounds himself with great people and great coaches as well. I think that's the other thing. His coaching staff is a very, very good coaching staff, and he's able to, he had a lot of continuity on that staff. But I think, from the moment you meet Corey Mace, he's going to build a culture that will put you in a position where you can potentially be Grey Cup champions, and thankfully we were able to do that this year.
So how do you keep him?
Well, that was one of the wins of 2025, quite honestly, was extending both Jeremy O'Day and Corey Mace. And so we've extended them into 2020.
During the season,
During
right?
the season, yeah.
Yes.
We did that during the season. So I think, again, that was, when I look back at what were some successes overall of 2025, that's up there pretty high, is extending them. And Corey's so committed here. He loves this province, he loves this team, he loves our fan base, and they in turn are love Corey, and he's really embraced the province in a very unique and special way. And so I think his love of the province, and he's shown that commitment here. And he said it several times. He believes this is the best place to coach in the CFL, and I have to say I agree with him.
And so, speaking of someone who's embraced the province, is the reigning Grey Cup most outstanding player, and Trevor Harris, and he also has been extended. How big was that for this team?
Yeah, it was huge. I think equally as much from what Trevor brings on the field, and obviously he was the Grey Cup MOP for a reason, set a record for completion percentage, in the Grey Cup, but equally for what he brings off the field. Like his leadership skills are off the chart. What he does in the community, he gives back. Again, embrace this fan base and embrace this province. And so I think when you bring back your leader that way, not to mention he's playing at a very, very high level at a very, very important position, I think it just sets us up for continued success.
Now, your team has success. You have a lot of players that other teams are going to want. I know that you're not the one that's maybe pulling the trigger on a lot of these things, but you have some say in it. You're managing the books after all. How crucial is it for this team to remain somewhat whole? Because you've seen in the past where in any sport, the championship team, those players are getting poached, getting plucked. Just how big of a commitment is it for you to try and keep this core together?
Yeah, that's the challenge. When you have success, and we had a lot of success this year. We not only winning the Grey Cup, but we had 9 All-Stars, which led the league. That's the reality of pro sports. People look at the success you've had, and they look at the reason why, and certainly they look at the talent on the roster that Jeremy and Corey have brought here. So that's the challenge. But as an organization, we believe in continuity. We think that's key to success. So I know Jeremy's working very, very hard to try to retain as much of the core as we possibly can. But that each year the team's going to be different. And the reality is the 2026 team will look different than the 2025 team. And if we happen to lose players through the process, Jeremy and Corey know and have proven that they're very capable of replacing players. But getting the core, we mentioned Trevor, so that's a good first step, and that'll be what the off season's comes up here for Jeremy pretty quick, and he'll be working away at that.
Now, looking ahead even further to 2027, Regina selected, and the Riders is the host for the Grey Cup. What does that mean to the franchise? I know financially it's a big win.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Again, when I reflect back on 2025 as a whole, that was something that might get lost in that we were successful only 5 years on from the last time we hosted, winning that bid again. So it's just huge. It's huge for the franchise. Obviously, there's financial implications to it, but it's huge for the province. There's massive economic impact of that event, having just been in Winnipeg and been part of it. You see that. You see the tourism dollars and the spend, and I think it's just reflective of what we have here, both in terms of facilities. Obviously, this beautiful stadium we're in, but the facilities, over in the Real District, we're able to host an outstanding Grey Cup. But also, our volunteers, our organizational readiness. I think it just speaks to what we have going on here.
And so when you're planning for 2027 and you want to be in that Grey Cup game, and you have that experience from 2013, you've locked up your coach and your GM and the players now, you have to have the talent on the field. How much of that planning for this offseason is thinking about, I know you want to win next year, but even thinking about 2027 and having enough guys under contract to be in that game in this stadium?
Yeah, I think it's always a balance. Obviously, your primary focus is 2026, but Jeremy's focus has got to be 2027, 2028. I think you hit on a couple key things. One is we have our general manager under contract for that year, and we have our head coach under contract for those years. So those, from a football leadership perspective, we've got the right people in place. And yeah, that's part of what Jeremy would be looking at this offseason is how do we retain that core and position ourselves to be able to be competitive and participate in that game. And that's obviously the ultimate goal.
Now, in years past, I've been to the financial update with the Roughriders, and coming out of the pandemic is, for all the CFL teams, it was tough. But you have a home playoff game this year. I know last season was pretty good as the team was winning on the field. selling tickets. How are you feeling about the financial strength of the club going into next year and into 27?
Yeah, I feel really, really good. And I think, like you mentioned, it was very tough times coming out of COVID. I think we've turned the corner there. And I think, we had really good fan response this year in terms of gate. I think we'll see our gate receipts are higher than last year. We sold out the West Final, which was very, very positive. We're now selling a ton of championship merchandise, which is necessary, I would say, because going to the Grey Cup and obviously winning the Grey Cup comes with a fair bit of expense as well. So you kind of need that merchandise revenue to help offset those expenses. But got great corporate support. Again, looking at fan response and fan engagement, it's been outstanding, and you saw that in the parade and some of the celebratory things afterwards. Right now, we're just feeling really good, financially and from the business side for sure.
So Christmas season, the message to the Rider fans is you're helping support the club. That's the balance about see if you can buy some merch.
Absolutely, yeah. No, the merch has been outstanding. Like as soon as we put things on the shelf, they're flying off the shelf. So I haven't seen anything like that probably since 2013. But I would suggest it's even at a greater level than we saw in 2013.
Just the health of football in this province, and we did a show from here a few weeks ago, the day before the Vanier Cup, the morning edition did, where we featured all over the province, every level of football. You had the Hilltops win junior, you had the Valkyries win, the Huskies obviously in the final, Rams in the semifinal, Riders win the Grey Cup. What is in the water? What is Saskatchewan doing to put out such an incredible product for such a small province?
Yeah, I think it's just part of the culture, to be honest with you. Football really, really matters here, and it matters from the grassroots level all the way through to the Roughriders. And I think you see that from a commitment at all levels to supporting the game of football and growing the game of football. And I think we're very proud of the work that we do and we're just one small part of that, but supporting Football Saskatchewan with in the 50-50 proceeds that we get at our game supports all those programs. And so I think there's financial support there. I think there's support on coaching as well. I think there's an investment here from a coaching perspective. And I think our provincial sport body, being Football SAS, does an outstanding job of providing leadership, again, all the way from the amateur level all the way up to supporting the university teams.
Hey Craig, I wanted to ask you about the rule changes and looking at the stadium here. It's going to look different in a couple of years. Yep. Obviously, even next year there'll be some changes. It's been a couple of months now where you've had time to think about it, hear fan reaction. What are your thoughts on the overall changes the CFL has announced?
Yeah, no, certainly. I think from a fan reaction perspective, there's no doubt it is mixed, and we've heard from many fans who have expressed some concerns. And I think there's some changes coming next year, and then I think the more significant changes are coming next the year following. And I think like any sports league, I think the CFL looked at its product and was looking at ways to innovate it and provide positive change. And I think they studied that, and they looked at ways where they could increase the amount pace of play, increase touchdowns, reduce the number of field goals, and the rule changes that they ultimately rolled out were changes that they thought would do that. And so that's the work that they've done, and they've sort of rolled out the research, and it certainly makes sense that it will do what they're suggesting it will do, which ultimately will hopefully lead to make a great game even better.
And Craig, most importantly, where's the Grey Cup in your family? Where are you taking it? Have you taken it to Foam Lake yet? Are people asking for it? Do you have third cousins asking for pictures?
Well, I've had it briefly, but I've got a birthday coming up here quite quickly, so I've been fortunate enough to be able to have the Grey Cup there. So certainly we'll spend some time with the family. I know my kids are at an age where they really appreciate what this means. To have the Grey Cup and only our fifth time in our organization's history. I would suggest that certainly I want to find some time, probably the new year, to see if we can't get that Grey Cup to Foam Lake as well. Growing up there, I think it'd be pretty special to bring that there and have that community sort of experience that. And that's the joy that we've seen so far with the Grey Cup. I've been so fortunate so far. I've been part of taking it to the Children's Hospital up in Saskatoon, Alan Blair Cancer Clinic here, and the West Canada Rehab Center. And those are really impactful moments when you see people's reactions to the Grey Cup and you brighten some days.
Craig, thanks so much.
I appreciate it.